If he wants to go and win, he's going to have to leave.
Number 2, is it crazy to say Austin Reaves?
DeMar DeRozan does not get into the Hall of Fame.
Half of his ring are KD rings. Like, no, you're just a sour person.
That sounds biased, but I'll leave it.
You guys both agreed with me, too, by the way.
I love saying that boy nice. That boy nice.
Welcome back to another episode of Harder Than Paint. But before we do anything, make sure you like and subscribe. We're about to hit 30K on YouTube. So shout out to all the love. Appreciate y'all. But did you miss me? ISO, we're here with it. I just want to say, Andre Drummond said that he's the best rebounder ever.
Fame candidate, best rebounder ever.
I've been seeing this little graphic going around. Something about you being the total rebound percentage.
Ever.
Oh, you already know what I'm talking about.
I'm the best ever.
No doubt.
Now, I don't know. The crack is good these days, but I don't know how good it is. Listen, you're not better than Dennis Rodman, so let's get that out the way. And when we talk about rebounding, what's up with these players just giving these imaginary like accolades and awards? Like now you're the GOAT of rebounding. And then I didn't even care to think about it because I'm like, who the fuck cares if you're the best rebounder ever? Like, what does that do for your career? We're never going to look back and like, yo, remember the way Andre Drummond used to rebound? Nobody's going to do that. So shout out to you, and I appreciate you. Gang, gang. Around the key, this is where we pass the ball around like the Golden State Warriors, and we have Colin. Hello. We have Gio, the most problematic person in the world.
Hello.
I missed you, Gio. I missed your takes, and I miss all the wild shit you're about to say today.
We out here.
Colin, how you feeling? Because, you know, the streets hate you.
Streets of Detroit. Colin's not welcome.
You know, the good people of Detroit, they found me out. It's true. Every night I go home, I lay out like 6 calculators, and I pray to them. I actually threw out my TV. I just got a chalkboard in there because I just love math so much. No, absolutely not. I went to school to be a writer. I don't know shit about math.
Not to cut off your monologue, just to say, let's give some people some context.
Okay, so we were talking about IT, Chris Paul, and Oscar Robertson, who was better. Chris Paul has 6 steal titles. That's the most in NBA history. Isaiah Thomas has 0. Chris Paul has 9 all-defensive team selections. Isaiah Thomas has 0. I'm moving him ahead of Isaiah Thomas, and I'm moving Oscar Robertson ahead of Isaiah Thomas.
It is close. I'd take Chris Paul over Isaiah Thomas.
If you go back and you look at some of Oscar's stats, he had 5 30-plus point and 10-plus assist seasons. Isaiah Thomas never did that at all. He had just 4 20-plus point and 10 assist seasons. And I brought up the fact that Chris Paul has some more accolades. Oscar's got better stats. And it was the classic conversation of this guy's more of a winner, this guy's a better team player, and the classic conversation of, oh, look at numbers. And I get it. I get that, like, no one likes a stat guy. But all I did was talk about assists per game and points per game. That is as basic as it gets.
You said Isaiah Thomas is overrated.
Did say that.
Yes, you're right. And I did say that. But I think that is what's kind of like at the top of it. I think Isaiah Thomas gets a lot from being on that great Pistons team, and he was a great leader, and they won championships. And I'm a little bit more of the mindset where I think championships are a team award.
Yeah, but it's the difference when you're the best player on that team.
I agree with you.
If you look at that roster, like size, build, and beard.
I'm still saying that's the other part of it, though. I said I think Chris Paul and the Big O are better. I'm not saying Isaiah Thomas sucks. I still think he's a top 5 point guard.
You said overrated.
The context. I was told, and I said in the beginning, that Isaiah Thomas is the number 2, number 3 best point guard. Like, it was just like a foregone thought. Like, we talk about Tom Brady is just, yeah, he's the GOAT of football. No questions asked. I don't think that Isaiah Thomas is a top 3 point guard. No questions asked. So that is where the overrated comes from.
Well, here's my thing. I don't have a problem whether Zeke.
You guys both agreed with me, too, by the way. No one seemed to give a fuck.
I don't really care if people feel like he's the 3 or the 4 or whatever. I just feel like Chris Paul is better. I think people don't like Chris Paul because Chris Paul.
I hate Chris Paul.
Yeah, because it's Chris Paul. But people are acting like Chris Paul is not a fucking hooper. Like, you feel me? And then a lot of people's problem was that your take on him defensively.
Yeah.
And they say, like, numbers don't tell the whole story. I understand from their perspective because if you're a Detroit fan and you watch him play and you see him win those 2 championships and then beat Jordan, I think that's something that you have to take into consideration because Chris Paul doesn't have any rings. But I will say this, but people were acting like Chris Paul is fucking like a
garbage
shit point guard.
Well, because it was Detroit fans who found it, and I talked poorly on the best player in their franchise history, so I get why they were upset.
Yeah, and everybody hates stats. So.
Points per game and assists per game. As basic as it gets.
But that's like...
We're treating these numbers like it's like the Salem witch trials. Like, I'm talking about points and assists. And everyone's like, burn the witch. Witchcraft, numbers, evil.
But let's have a conversation about that because I think that's a big conversation between, like, NBA fans right now and, like, the NBA community. Like, you talk about, like, stat nerds and things like that. And my saying is that fuck your stats because your stats don't tell the whole story.
They don't.
It matters, but it's just like how much consideration should we take into numbers, right? Because if you're just telling me these stats and these numbers, I'm like, of course this is a better player. But like realistically, that doesn't tell you if the player is better than not. That's what I'm saying. That's why people get mad about like when people bring out certain stats or certain like analytics or certain things like this. Like, that don't mean shit.
There's levels to it. It does mean a little bit of shit.
It matters to a certain extent where you could see like certain drop-offs in players, and some players are better in certain situations. So I think you need to take into account the numbers and also who the player is. Like I love saying that boy nice. That boy nice.
When you think about like a person like Draymond, right? We know he's not going to go out there and get 30 a game or whatever the case may be, but we know his presence on the floor defensively and his mind and his IQ and getting players open and getting in the bowl and being that smart a floor general is what helps the Golden State Warriors win, right? So that shit matters, but it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But I
It's
agree with you.
case by case.
We need to find a happy medium. It's
You're
just
absolutely
like
right.
when people hear numbers, it kind of confuses people because it's like, all right, but that doesn't tell me everything that I need to know.
There's so much like worse like analytical shit that just goes beyond points and assists. And I will never bring that up because I don't like that shit either. But points and assists, come on.
I'm just tired of the crying. NBA community, stop fucking crying. It's like you don't like the opinions. I get it. I understand too. When somebody has a stupid opinion, I'm like, fuck you. But I'm just like, yo, bro.
It's not that serious.
Like, just stop. To my intro, you know what I'm saying? We were talking about Andre Drummond. Is Andre Drummond the best rebounder of all time?
No. No, no, absolutely not. The man Dennis Rodman ring a bell? He was like a shorter big man too in the league, and it wasn't just like getting those rebounds. Yeah. It was like diving for that, going all out for those rebounds, doing everything he possibly could to rebound because he knew his role on the team.
I can make the argument that Russell Westbrook is a better rebounder than Andre Drummond.
You could.
Obviously, the triple-double king.
I kind of agree with you. I think Russell Westbrook, he does more with what he has than like Andre Drummond. That's not a knock on Andre Drummond. Like, you're fucking huge. You should be a good rebounder. And he does good with what he has. But Russell Westbrook goes above and beyond. It's not his job to rebound necessarily as a point guard and as the guy who's running his offense, but he still dives all over the floor.
I feel like Dennis Rodman was to the point where it was just like he affected the game so much by how he rebounded and his hustle and what he brought to the game. I was just like, there's no comparison to that. For instance, in the NFL, when we think about who's the GOAT corner, it's Deion Sanders, right? In the NBA, when we think about who's the GOAT rebounder, it's Dennis Rodman to the furthest extent. Because I don't even think people look at Andre Drummond and be like, damn, such a good fucking rebounder. Like, I wish he was on my team.
There's much older, like, legendary players that are better rebounders too. Like Wilt comes to mind. That's like just because of his pure size, like he's a much better rebounder. And granted, the times where he was like he like towered over everyone, but still, Andre Drummond's a good rebounder. He's not the best. Could it be maybe top 20?
Never once in my life have I sat down and thought, who are the 10 best rebounders ever? But like off like the dome, like, yeah, I'd be comfortable saying you could probably put Andre Drummond in there.
It's just the new shit. Like, Cat's the best big man shooter of all time, and now like people are just making up shit for this so they can have like a GOAT thing. But it's just like, bro, you got to do more than that. All right, so who are the top 5 players on Team USA?
Anthony Edwards, obviously number 1.
I think that's the consensus.
Like, you just got to go with that, what he's been doing. Number 2, is it crazy to say Austin Reaves?
Yeah,
like, is
that's
that
crazy.
Blasphemous?
All right, here's my top 5 Team USA players.
Go for it.
Anthony Edwards, 1. Holly, 2. Brunson, 3. Mikal, 4. And then B.I., 5.
I have the exact same, but I have Mikal Bridges in front of Bronson. Just because of the two-way, he's far and away the best defender on the team. Also had 24.
That sounds biased, but I'll leave it.
I mean, yeah, we all know. You all know who I am.
I'll go Anthony Edwards 1, Halliburton 2. I'll probably do Brunson 3. I'll do B.I. 4, taking the NBA into account, and I'll do Austin Reaves 5. Mikal just misses out. Sorry.
That's crazy, bro. You don't give a rat's ass about defense, do you?
Explain yourself.
What we've seen from Austin Reaves, like he's not just like what people think of, like, oh, he's just this white kid that shoots and comes off the bench. No, he's a hooper.
You can be a hooper and still not be as good as Mikal Bridges.
I think it's close though. I don't think it's like a big drastic. Like,
there's been several
5 and
games
6.
where Austin Reaves has spearheaded like important runs.
Yeah,
I'm like with you on that. I'm not knocking on Reaves, but like defense matters. We just forget that like offense is half the game and defense is the other.
No, I don't forget
I
that.
just think that Reaves, like, I think he plays defense, no?
He does.
Yeah.
He plays good defense.
But
Just Mikal Bridges was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year last year. If you watch their defensive sets, he is at the point of attack every single time an opposing guy brings the ball
Which is fair. But
He is the quarterback of their
Take into
defense.
account Team USA. We're not talking about the NBA right now. We're talking about what they have done in FIBA.
That's why I have Jaren Jackson Jr. not in my top 5 because he was Defensive Player of the Year this year. We know he's a very good, probably top 20, top 25 NBA talent. But he's struggled.
He's had 1 rebound in the past 2 games.
And rebounding is their flaw, and he gets in foul trouble super early.
Yeah, that's why like Austin Reaves like in FIBA has like he's had maybe like 1 or 2 games a little off, but he's been cooking in FIBA.
If we talking about FIBA, then I'll move BI off and I'll put Reaves at 5.
I'm probably comfortable with that too. It was for that last slot just because I know how good Brandon Ingram can be. Taking Mikal out though is wild.
It's close. I think it's close.
That's the thing. Like BI, we know his talent, but obviously Reaves has been better. But it's just kind of like I don't think anybody understands what Reaves is at this point. And when I say that, I just like we know he's good, but we just don't know how good he is. That's the question, right? And obviously he's not playing with LeBron right now or AD, and he's been hooping.
Austin Reaves is one of the few guys who's just like, and he's had like good regular season spurts too. But I feel like it was the playoffs this year where people were like, whoa, like and like you don't have as much to go on. But you have like the clutch play like already. And when that's like the base of what you are, it can be tough to evaluate because it's like you haven't seen a whole lot, but the important stuff, the stuff that moves people, you have seen.
How do you feel that this Team USA roster would fare in the NBA?
I would say 4 seed.
I don't care what conference you want to pick at. I don't think it's crazy to say they'd be top 3. The amount of depth that they have.
It sounds good.
It does sound good.
To have a team like that, it would be the dream to have and like be the GM because all these guys are fucking young. So they're guys that you could like pool with picks for like stars. Yeah. So you could trade like half their bench for fucking like a LeBron, like a Giannis. Like that's if Giannis is really thinking about leaving the Bucks will fucking gladly take like Walker Kessler, like Cam Johnson. I'm missing other guys. Like,
just send him Bobby Portis back.
Yeah, they can have Bobby. They love Bobby in Milwaukee.
Bobby.
I'm not saying Cam Johnson and Walker Kessler are a package for Giannis, but the Paolo, like the guys on the back end of their bench, are all budding stars teams would love to have.
You're right.
The kinds of guys stars get traded.
This is a very, very young team. Bobby Portis is the oldest player on this team. He's 28. So like everyone's really young, and they all have like a lot of good chemistry. Like Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges all went to Villanova together. I'm saying 4 because I just know there are better teams out there, obviously in both conferences, but with the team chemistry. And with like Brandon Ingram
is their 6th man right now. You know how many teams would love to have Brandon Ingram as their 6th man?
We're not talking about FIBA Brandon Ingram. When we put him back in the NBA, like he's gonna do some damage.
I feel like this is a solid roster. I think you can do some damage, but like would they win like a finals? No. I think you gotta have that guy in the NBA, no matter what it is. Like, and I don't think they have that guy.
I mean, it's been Ant, but I'll say today in the elimination game, Ant went 1 for 6. Mikal had to carry.
We're waiting for Ant to be that guy. I don't think he's there yet. I think this is such a young team that you like it, but it's just like,
they'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, they'd be fun.
They'd be like the Kings.
So Pat Bev said that Anthony Edwards needs to get out of Minnesota. And I agree on this. I think that players like that need to be in big markets, or at least need to be in like semi-big markets at least. Because obviously, when you look at the talent standpoint, like you have hopes for Minnesota, but it's Minnesota. You're not going to win a championship there. But it's not that he can't be a superstar there. I just think that his game and his elevation is going to be better if he goes somewhere else where he's in a bigger market. You're going to have more eyes on you. And people are going to love you, and they're going to get to see you more primetime games. And also, on top of that, you can get big-name free agents to come fuck with you if you're trying to build a motherfucking team.
I agree. Anthony Edwards should leave. I don't think it's for the big market reason. I know you'll probably agree with this, Colin. If we say fuck all the small markets, what's the point of even having the small market teams? It's a mix of why players should leave places. It's the organization. Like Minnesota is like obviously not the best-headed organization, but like a smaller market team that has a better organization structure around them could win. But like, yeah, he should leave Minnesota because fucking Rudy Gobert's there.
I very much believe that if you're good enough, you'll be a superstar no matter where you're at. The NBA is such a global game now. We all can watch anyone do any highlight from anywhere on our phones. It goes to what you said about Rudy Gobert thing. It's like there's just like a log jam like in that system. They have so much money committed to him. They have so much draft capital that is out the window committed to him.
He can be a superstar there, right? But when I think about Kevin Durant, I think about Russ. I think about what was built there and how people love them. But they also had success, right? Kevin Durant was the MVP. They went to the finals. But what ended up happening? Kevin Durant left. And don't get me wrong, Russ stayed, became Mr. Triple-Double, MVP. He was already superstar at that point. But eventually, you're going to have to leave. You're right. It's a global game. You can watch him, whatever, at this point. The NBA is like the biggest shit in the world. You don't really need to leave to become a superstar, right? People already see you. They know who you are. But in terms of like his career, if he wants to go and win, he's going to have to leave. And when you think about the big players over time, They always left. Shaq left, KD left, or whoever, LeBron left. Like all these big name players, they eventually leave those small market teams because they can't get free agents to come there to play with them.
It just depends on like what you have already there. Like I'm sure a free agent will want to come play with Shai in OKC.
Players want to win. That's really
the main thing.
It is.
How did Paul George and Carmelo Anthony get to OKC? Trade, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, Paul George re-signed. And after he was like unfinished business, they did that. That shit didn't work out.
It did 2 years.
Yeah.
He went to LA. Now the Clippers weren't bad, but at that point in time, I don't think the Clippers were in position to win a championship.
He got Kawhi. They got Kawhi.
They got
too,
Kawhi, and then they traded for Paul George.
My point is, well, obviously you have a chance when you get Kawhi at that point, just coming off a championship. But like, it's the market, right? He wanted to leave OKC after a certain point. Teams like OKC and Minnesota, they have to build through the draft. Rich Paul, he went on Gilbert Arenas' podcast. He discussed LeBron had more pressure than Michael Jordan in his playing career. I think everybody agrees with that, though. I don't think that's like a hot take.
It's the way he said it. Like he said that I think LeBron's antlers is in platinum, Michael's are in gold. Why? Because he had to be compared to Mike. Who did Mike have to be compared to? I mean, you just like act like Larry Bird and like Magic Johnson like don't exist. I can understand that LeBron had more pressure because when Jordan was coming up, we didn't all have smartphones. LeBron had more pressure because he came up when social media was coming up and everyone had eyes on him. That's why. It's not about the landscape of the league. There were always great players before, going all the way back to Bill Russell.
I think Jordan was a great player, but I don't think anybody had these expectations for him to be the best player ever.
Back then, and it's why Hakeem went 1, is because the only way you could win was with a big guy. Jordan was the first like guard. I guess Isaiah Thomas too, but like
to really take over.
Isaiah hadn't won when Jordan was drafted yet. Like he was still young too.
It wasn't until like Jordan late in his career became that guy, and it was just like, all right, when are you going to win a championship? Well, with LeBron, obviously he was supposed to be the savior, the greatest prospect ever, and he was chasing ghosts. He was already chasing Jordan because his expectation was to be the next Jordan, right? With that being said, that he didn't win, he went to Miami. The scrutiny of the peak of social media and people like slandering you and making these memes and people talking about you and like these sports shows of how many media outlets. Back then, it was just like a paper.
The Daily Gazette was talking shit, like instead of billions of Twitter trolls.
Social media, Instagram, Facebook,
Skip Bayless.
like every Skip Bayless. Like you had the arch enemies now. Like
It's also LeBron was constantly scrutinized because in high school you had tens of thousands of people watching his high school games. He's 17 years old. He's the greatest prospect anyone's ever seen. And then he gets drafted #1 to his hometown team to save the city. Again, the social media plays into it, and like the decision that he did, the decision to go to Miami, the whole telecast thing. Like if LeBron was just like, I'm signing with Miami, people would be like, all right.
Yeah.
It's just his decisions. Everything that he does is under the micros of microscopes.
So let me ask you this. If Steph Curry won in the bubble, would he have the same disrespect as LeBron?
Not as much. Probably
Like,
a little
I
bit.
think he would. I think there's just negative people exist on all sides of the spectrum, and it's a stupid argument anyway. The bubble was the bubble. Some parts of it were harder than a normal championship. Some parts of it were easier than a normal championship. Like, it's not one way or the other.
Great fucking take. And you know why I don't understand this whole like Lee Mickey thing and all this other shit? Because he won championships before that. I could see if that was his
If it was
first
the
one,
yeah.
then I can understand. But he did the 3-1 comeback. He won 2 in Miami. He's been to multiple finals. We know what type of player he is. That's what I just don't understand. Now, Steph, I think if he was in the bubble, I do think it would be a different agenda because I think people still look at LeBron as like this choke or somebody that doesn't have this mentality of a killer, right? I think people still look at LeBron as that way. With Steph, it would have just heightened his fucking career or his status of who he is as a player, right? Because I think people look at Steph as a killer.
It's a catch-22 for LeBron because, like, he won it. It's the Mickey Mouse Championship. It doesn't really matter. If he lost it, people would be like, you couldn't even win in the bubble. You're a fucking loser.
Yes. If Steph had won, then the people who say, oh, he needs... And, you know, he fucking won without KD. But it's the people who say, like, oh, half of his ring are KD rings. Like, no, you're just a sour person. And so this is what you're choosing to, like, talk about. And if Steph had won in the bubble, then that sour person would just be saying that instead of the KD stuff.
This is something that people have been enjoying us to talk about, Hall of Famer or not. So we got some more names to bring up to the, stage. We have Rondo, Kevin Love, and DeMar DeRozan. So let's go through it first. Is Rondo a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Two titles,
Yeah.
multiple assist titles. He's got a steal title.
Fantastic defender, yeah.
Yeah, he'll get in easy.
Also, just some of the most like underrated like highlights. Like if you're someone who likes passing, like
yeah.
and you just want to like put on YouTube and see some crazy shit, you're gonna have a grand old time.
He liked that. Kevin Love.
Yeah.
It's a tough
I
one.
think so. I think he sneaks in.
I think from his Minnesota days of him winning a championship and that picture of him guarding Steph, he was a really good player. He's been an all-star, right?
5-time All-Star.
I think that gets him in. And I think if Chris Bosh is in the Hall of Fame, I think Kevin Love would get in. Defensively, Chris Bosh is way better.
Yes.
But I think they're similar players to me in the sense of what they do.
Yeah.
So I think Kevin Love will get in.
2-time All-NBA second team, most improved player. Like he's got rebounding title.
Let's not kid though. It's the championship that.
Of course.
If he doesn't have the championship,
He doesn't.
I don't think so. But championships matter, especially to the people who are voting on this.
All right, DeMar DeRozan.
I hate this one because I fucking love DeMar DeRozan, but I'm saying at this point, I'm saying no. DeMar DeRozan, not a Hall of Famer. Fuck no. I want him to be. Damn it.
DeMar DeRozan does not get into the Hall of Fame.
You say because it's breaking my heart.
Yeah, he's not getting in.
LeBronto destroyed that man.
Bro, what's even worse is that he's like probably one of the Raptors' best players of all time, and they traded him.
They won a championship right after.
I'm pretty sure everyone who's in the 25 K club as far as scoring goes is in the Hall. DeMar's in the 20 club. So I don't know how close he is to 25K. I think if he can get to 25K, then yeah, I'll give him that nod.
I think he has potential to be one, but as of right now, if he doesn't do anything else further in his career, like accolade-wise or a championship, he won't get in. I just don't see it. And like I like DeMar too, but I don't even see him like. I think some players get in because of like the fandom of a player.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has that.
If DeMar was like towards the end of his career on a championship team, he wasn't the guy though. Like he wasn't even starting. Like Rondo won it with the Celtics at his peak, but Rondo with the Lakers.
He was important, and Rondo wasn't there even close to like a top 3 like Laker on the team that year. But there were people who were saying he's the 3rd star in that finals. So if he has a couple of like big moments en route to a championship, even if he's not the guy.
Bro, Rondo,
maybe like
Rondo
in between,
was fucking shooting threes.
Maybe in between like Rondo and DeAndre Jordan this year. Like
It's hard to say yes or no because it's close. It's gonna matter. Like, does he make one big shot and does like nothing else? Versus like, is he, he has like 2 or 3 like 20+ point games when he's coming off the bench and is carrying the team when like maybe like a star got hurt or something or one guy doesn't have it that night.
The Bucks are the most overrated team in the NBA. Obviously, because they have Giannis, they get a lot of praise. But if you look at that roster, it's a solid roster. But is it that good? No. That's why I think they're in the end days and Giannis won't be a Milwaukee Buck anymore. I think Giannis knows he can win more championships, but he's not getting the help that he needs. Chris Middleton is a good fucking player. But is he that good?
Dude, it's the
No.
He just did not look good when he came back last year, and
Yeah.
they signed him to a 3-year deal. And I love Brook Lopez, all-time leading scorer in Nets history. But he's older, and they re-signed him. All these guys are like getting towards the end, and it's like if you're gonna bet on a team to fall off, especially the second half of the year, when those miles start to add up on the older players, that team is the Bucks.
And no disrespect to Grayson Allen, but you're not winning a championship when he's your starting shooting guard.
Drew Holiday is still great, but like he's
of
another
course.
guy definitely on the second half of his career.
And if you see what Giannis is saying, I think this is to put pressure on the organization. But I think if they don't get that next like superstar player to help him compete for a championship, then that's going to be a problem.
Even before the Bucks won, people looked at guys like Chris Middleton especially. They were like, is he good enough to be the Robin on a championship winning team? Now, after a knee injury, I absolutely do not think he is.
The thing is, though, if you're a team that wants Giannis, you got to clear up like at least 1 or 2 other roster spots for his brothers.
G League.
I don't know what it is. Like, you just need to get all the brothers to secure Giannis.
Giannis is not like a moron.
No,
who
I
just
know.
wants to play with his brothers. You secure Giannis by trading for younger, better stars.
I'm trying to be funny here.
Sorry.
I'm trying to be funny here with the thing. Whatever. It's not that serious. Obviously, Giannis doesn't care about that.
That nerd.
How is it? I did not say a thing about numbers.
Thanks, guys. We're back again, and it's going to be full throttle. Yes, there's nothing going on right now. It's a struggle. It's FIBA, and I can't wait for that to end so we can get into the nitty-gritty so the players can report back to training camp, and then we can have something to talk about. But thank you for supporting us. We're about to hit 30K. You heard. So before anything, make sure you like and subscribe. And for all your sports betting tips, go to thegameday.com. We out of here hard in the paint. Gang, gang. Does JBobby make you angry? Well, that's good. Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, baby.